So before we get into the full race review, the championship is obviously getting incredibly close. I'm gonna check the video real quick, and it is recording. So the championship's obviously getting really close. There is a 6-point gap between Lewis and Max. I think that what happened today, I'm only talking about Lewis in this situation. Lewis wanted to stay out, and I believe that he could have stayed out the entire time and kept that P3 position. I didn't think Perez was going to even come close to catching up to him that entire time. I mean, Ocon went the entire race on one set of tires. If anybody could do it, Lewis could totally do it. So instead of... They compromise in this situation. By compromising, they compromise the race. So instead of Lewis only being down by 1 point going into the U.S. Grand Prix next week in Austin, or the next race in Texas, he's down by 6 points, which could be the margin of victory that Max needs to win the championship. So I think that they shot themselves in the foot today, 100%. Instead of letting Lewis go the entire time, and Lewis not caving coming in when he did, both of those situations just did not work out for Lewis in the slightest. So we'll see how everything plays out, but let's get into the race review. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking out the pit lane. Again, my name is Andrew. We're going to be reviewing the Turkish Grand Prix 2021. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, drop a comment below. We're going to be getting some more stuff out. I know I keep saying that, but working on getting title screens together, working on getting additional content out, still doing everything off an iPhone 8. So we'll get some more stuff moving in the future. But all in all, pretty interesting race. A lot of it came down to strategy. Lewis coming from 11th all the way up to 5th. That's probably wrong. Hold on. Yeah, he got 5th. I was right. I just didn't look at my notes. That's what I get. Lewis in 5th. Leclerc P4. Red Bull 2 and 3. And congratulations, Mr. Valtteri Bottas. You come in first place. Well-deserved win. You have not been very strong in the wet conditions, but today you showed what you got, man. Like, I know that you have a rallying background, and today, like, you held it together. Well-deserved points going into Alfa Romeo next year. I think you're going to be the future of that team. Possibly a future for Ferrari. I'm still going to talk about that video, which is going to be a disaster for Ferrari in the future, I think. Not really a disaster. It's happy problems. You have too many good drivers. What you gonna do? Anyway, getting into the race, you just come in to the screen, like, you hear the music, and it's just damp and foggy everywhere. Like, it just looks like you look at the air and you just like feel like you could swim in it. 98% humidity. The track did not dry out at all. Vettel tried to go out on tires after his first his pit stop on soft tires and just fishtailed, did his best Lando Norris and Sochi impersonation, and was like, yep, this gamble did not work. It is not dry enough for these. So someone tried at least. So everybody started the race on intermediates. I thought possibly there could be another Esteban situation where everybody wrecks out at the first corner. I said that yesterday in yesterday's video. I fully expected there to be an accident in that turn 1. There was a couple collisions, both of them involving Alonso. Surprisingly, first he got taken out by Gasly, which I don't think Gasly should have gotten that penalty. I mean, he did get sandwiched in between two cars, and I mean, there really wasn't anything that he could do in that situation, but he did make the contact, so it is what it is. And then you had Alonso making contact with Schumacher. Unfortunately, Schumacher having such a great qualifying session. Great qualifying session. I cannot talk today. He had such a great qualifying session and just fell all the way to the back. So Alonso, Gasly both getting 5-second time penalties. They had to serve in the pits instead at the end of the race. So it is what it is there. Gasly still had a solid performance. He was charging on Lewis there. I think he came P6. So great job. Sainz, incredible job coming from last, getting fastest lap and into the points. Driver of the day for sure. Congratulations. Also voted on by the fans. But the race itself, I mean, it all came down to strategy. Lewis in the very beginning had some really solid moments. It is like seeing that Mercedes. I can only be like, it's just intimidating. Like, it's, imagine like Star Wars. You just see Darth Vader coming up behind you. Like, there is no way you're going to keep him from getting around you unless there's a blatant tire disadvantage. He flew past, like, Yuki did as best as he could to hold him back. I thought Yuki did a great job there in the beginning. He made his car the widest thing on planet Earth there for a few laps. Yuki did great until he spun out, but it is what it is. That turn 2 is it's a bitch, apparently, in the wet. I mean, like, you just come down and just snaps the back end around on you real quick, but Yuki did solid, spun out. Lewis got past Yuki, and then from there it was just off to the races, just picking people off one by one until he got behind Sergio Perez. Perez had a remarkable drive blocking today. He did everything he could. That was the wheel-to-wheel action that's in the thumbnail. Like, that was some of the best racing I've seen in a while. Lewis pushed him wide. Perez had to go through the pit lane entry to get back onto the track. He didn't get a penalty, thank goodness. I would have been furious, but the Red Bull looking great out there in the Honda liveries. But I really think that Perez deserved that P3, Max in P2, and you know where Valtteri was. So, it's what it is. Through the entire race, it sounded like Max was having some issues with the car. He was having some issues with some of the steering wheel issues. He said that he was having issues. What was it on here? Oh yeah, he was having gearbox issues too. He said that it wasn't shifting properly. So that was terrifying. But he was able to pull it out. I mean, like, it sounds like Red Bull was able to fix those issues with the programming of the car. So, I mean, he did everything he needed to like, solidify his spot back at number 1 in the championship. So he did everything he needed to today. So it was about like lap 18 to 20, and it was pretty clear that most of the mid-pack, other than Ferrari, was just going to have absolutely zero pace today. I mean, Ferrari looked incredibly strong for what was going on, and if they had a different tire strategy, they could have won the race. Like, if Charles had undercut everybody in the very beginning and just gunned it and then be able to hang onto the tires, let them granulate and everything, and then stay there at the front, Ferrari could have won this race. Like, I really think that if they'd undercut just a lap or two before Max came in, they could have had this in the bag. But alas, they tried to go to the very end. It did not work out for them. Gasly had a solid performance, P4. Not Gasly. Gosh, Leclerc, solid performance, P4. So really can't be upset there. So it was like around lap 40 when Gasly was asking if he could go to the end of the race, and I thought that would be a cool strategy, but it was pretty clear a few laps after that call took place that that was not the right call. If they had undercut, they could have done something. Ferrari might have had the dumbest like radio call to Charles. He goes, "Hey, can you tell me where I'm going to end up if I stay out here?" And they just go, "Well, if you keep Valtteri behind you, you'll be in first." Of course, that helps him none. Like, he knows that these tires are degrading. He hears how quickly he's coming up behind him. Like, you guys are giving him the gap between him and Valtteri. He knows he's not going to come in first place. And you tell him, like, "We'll keep him behind you, come in first." No, be honest with him. Like, hey, you need to come in. I mean, P4, solid finish for Ferrari. I mean, that's great. But they could have had a win here, or a podium. Like, for sure had a podium. But I think they could have had a win here. And I think they shot themselves in the foot. And I think that is a good segue into really the biggest drama of the entire race, and that was Lewis wanting to stay out on the tires. He said he was sliding. He could. I think Lewis could have been P3. No issues there. And then he just got vetoed by Mercedes. Like, "Hey, come in, and the tires aren't going to last." And he was like, "Okay." And they did not tell him that he was going to lose 2 spots. Now, this gets into a weird situation where obviously Lewis, one of the greatest of all time. Then you have the pit lane. Who are you going to listen to? Like, are you going to listen to Lewis, or are you going to like tell Lewis, like, "Listen, you're being too prideful in this situation. Like, you're going to lose the race for yourself." But it doesn't look. If they had stuck to at least one of the strategies, if Lewis would have listened to Mercedes in the very beginning, or if Mercedes would have listened to Lewis, he would have been on the podium. 1 point difference between he and Max. The championship would have been the tightest. It would have been incredible going into the U.S. Grand Prix. But it is what it is now. Valtteri, congratulations, back up and are there, solidifying 3rd position there in the standings there. Another 25 points. Max 6 points ahead of Lewis, and yeah, that's really all we got. Ultimately, solid race. Valtteri, congratulations again. We'll be going into the U.S. Grand Prix next out there in Texas. It will be on ESPN. I'm going to try to get a basically a prediction video going before like practice sessions and everything. But I appreciate it, guys. Again, thank you so much for checking out the pit lane. There's going to be more content coming out in the future once we get everything moving. Drop the like, comment, hit the notification bell, subscribe. I sincerely appreciate it, and I will see you all next time.